Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have got something special in store for you if you are gearing up for the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. In this video I will be covering the topics and questions that will help you pass the CLF-C02 certification exam. I have compiled about 60 practice questions to get you prepped and primed for the success on this Cloud Practitioner certification exam. But hold on tight, because it's not just about answering questions. We will also be explaining the concept using visual and diagram that will make you feel like AWS superhero. So if you are ready to ace the Amazon Cloud Practitioner exam and elevate your career to new heights, make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and join our growing community of tech enthusiasts. So gear up and let's dive into the success. So question number 1 is that which tool can you use to forecast your AWS spending? And the options are A. AWS organizations, B. Amazon DevPay, C. AWS Trusted Advisor, and D. AWS Cost Explorer. And the correct option is option D. AWS Cost Explorer. So what is the AWS Cost Explorer? It is basically a tool that helps you understand and manage your spending on Amazon Web Services. It provides features like it visualizes your cost and usage over time, analyzing data at different levels, for example, total cost by service or by resource, identifying trends and cost drivers, forecasting future costs, and creating custom reports. So these all are the features of AWS Cost Explorer, and this is basically a visual. Let me display a visual of the Amazon AWS Cost Explorer. Here you can see your spending, and also you can also calculate your future forecast. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 2 is that according to AWS, what is the benefit of elasticity? And the options are A. Minimize storage requirements by reducing logging and auditing activities. B. Create systems that scale to the required capacity based on changes in demand. C. Enable AWS to automatically select the most cost-effective services. And D. Accelerate the design process because recovery from failure is automated, reducing the need for testing. And the correct option is, so the benefit of elasticity is that it creates systems that scale to the required capacity based on changes in demand. So as the name indicates, the resources or the capacity are elastic and it changes according to the demand. If demand is less, so the resources are less, as we can see here in the picture. If we have low demand period, we have fewer resources, in this case EC2 instances. If the demand increases, so the EC2 instances or other resources also increases, and this is done automatically, and this feature is known as elasticity. And the major benefit of this elasticity is that the user or the application don't feel any form of performance degradation because the resources are scaled according to the demands. If the user load or the traffic increases, the application performance does not degrade because the resources are also increased automatically. So the AWS Cloud Elasticity refers to the ability to automatically scale your resources on demand. In simpler terms, you can provision rent exactly the compute power, storage, etc. that you need when you need it and release it when you don't. This saves you money and ensures your application can handle fluctuating workloads. AWS offers a variety of services that support elasticity, like Amazon EC2 for compute resources. So that's all about AWS Cloud Elasticity. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 3 is that a business analyst would like to move away from creating complex database queries and static spreadsheets when generating regular reports for high-level management. They would like to publish insightful, graphically appealing reports with interactive dashboards. Which service can they use to accomplish this? And the options are A. Amazon QuickSight, B. Business Intelligence on Amazon Redshift, C. Amazon CloudWatch dashboards, and D. Amazon Athena integrated with Amazon Glue. And the correct option is option A. Amazon Quick Insight. So, what is the Amazon Quick Insight? Let me first read the explanation. In simple terms, Amazon QuickSight is a cloud-based business intelligence service offered by Amazon Web Services. It allows businesses to collect data from various sources, analyze it, and generate easy to understand reports and visualizations. This empowers users to make data driven decisions. Think of it as a tool that helps you turn your data into insights. And let me now display the Amazon Quick Site visual. So this is just a visual. Here we can see that using the Amazon Quick Site we can create different interactive dashboards and charts that are very helpful for business decision makers. Question number 4 is that what best describes the principle of least privilege? Choose the correct answer from the options given below, and the options are A. All users should have the same baseline permissions granted to them to use basic AWS services. B. Users should be granted permissions to access only resources they need to do their assigned job. C. Users should submit all access requests in written form so that there is a proper trail of who needs access to different AWS resources. And D. Users should always have a little more permission than they need. And the correct option is already underlined. It is option B. That is, users should be granted permissions to access only resources they need to do their assigned job. And let me display the explanation of the principle of least privilege. So it is a security concept that dictates users, application, and systems should be granted the minimal level of access or permissions necessary to perform their required tasks. By limiting access rights to the bare minimum, the principle helps to reduce the risk of unauthorized access, minimize potential damage from security breaches, and improve overall system security. Let me further clarify the concept with the help of a visual. So, it is basically the combination of removal of the or remove or restriction of privileges and giving employees only or application only the privileges that are required for them to do their tasks. So here this highlighted area is basically represents the employee access according to principle of least privilege. Question number 5 is that which of the following is the responsibility of the customer to ensure the availability and backup of the EBS volumes? And the options are A. Delete the data and create a new EBS volume. B. Create EBS snapshots. C. Attach new volumes to EC2 instances. And D. Create copies of EBS volumes. And the correct option is, Option B, create EBS snapshots. So Amazon EBS stands for basically Amazon Elastic Block Store. That is, Amazon EBS provides block level storage volumes for use with EC2 instances. So the EBS volumes are basically used with the Amazon EC2 instances or Amazon EC2 VMs. So these are different type of Amazon storages, and the EBS basically is used with the Amazon EC2 VMs. Here we can see that, let's suppose this is an Amazon EC2 instance or a VM, and this is an EBS volume that is mounted on this instance. And these are the different shares or directories that are present in this EBS volume. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 6 is that a web administrator maintains several public and private web-based resources for an organization. Which service can they use to keep track of the expiry dates of SSL/TLS certificates as well as updating and renewal? So we are talking about the SSL and TLS certificates expiry, updation and renewal, and the options are A. AWS Data Lifecycle Manager, B. AWS License Manager, C. AWS Firewall Manager, and D. AWS Certificate Manager. And the correct option is option D, AWS Certificate Manager. So what is the AWS Certificate Manager? Let me display the explanation of AWS Certificate Manager. So AWS Certificate Manager is an AWS service that simplifies managing digital certificate for securing connections. It lets you easily request, deploy, and renew SSL and TLS certificates for your websites and application on AWS. Think of it as a central location to handle your certificates, saving you time and hassle. And let me show and display a visual of the AWS Certificate Manager in action. So this is basically AWS Certificate Manager, and this basically deals with the provision and maintenance of SSL certificates. So let's move forward to the next question. Question number 7 is that what is the AWS feature that enables fast, easy, and secure transfer of files over long distances between your client and your Amazon S3 bucket? And the options are A. File transfer, B. HTTP transfer, C. Amazon S3 transfer acceleration, and D. S3 acceleration. So we are talking about fast, easy, and secure transfer, and the correct option is Amazon S3 transfer acceleration. So what is S3 transfer acceleration? So AWS S3 transfer acceleration is a feature that speeds up transfer of data to and from Amazon S3 storage buckets. It works by leveraging Amazon CloudFront's global network of edge locations. Imagine your data taking a shortcut to S3 through these closer points instead of the potentially congested public internet. This can significantly improve upload and download speeds, especially for long distance transfers. So this is Amazon S3 transfer acceleration path in action. So here we can see that this is an optimized and quick path, while the traditional regular path through direct upload is basically bumpy and slow. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 8 is that which of the following services can be used as an application firewall in AWS? Options are A. AWS Snowball, B. AWS WAF or WAF, C. AWS Firewall, and D. AWS Protection. And the correct option is option B. AWS WAF or Web Application Firewall. So AWS WAF stands for Web Application Firewall. It's a security service that acts as a shield for your web applications on AWS. Here's the gist of this WAF. It monitors incoming HTTPS traffic aimed at your web application, analyzes traffic based on rules you define, for example, blocking suspicious IP addresses or preventing SQL injection attacks. It can allow, block, or just monitor specific traffic based on these rules. Think of it as a security guard checking IDs at the entrance of your web application, ensuring only authorized traffic gets through. And this is basically the WAF in action. So the WAF is basically deployed in front of the load balancer, application load balancer, CloudFront distribution, and Amazon API, and any traffic that goes to these services is passed to the WAF and filtered and cleaned over here. So this is a type of front. Question number 9 is that which component of the AWS global infrastructure is made of one or more discrete data centers that have redundant power, networking, and connectivity? And the options are A. AWS region, B. availability zone, C. edge location, and D. AWS outpost. And the correct option is AWS or availability zone. So what is the AWS availability zone? AWS availability zones are essentially data centers within a large AWS region. Here is a quick breakdown. So region is a large concept. Inside region there are multiple availability zones. And what are these? It consists of multiple data centers. Each region has several availability zones providing redundancy and fault tolerance. These are isolated but connected. So availability zones are physically separate with independent power, cooling, and networking, but connected with low latency links for data replication. Availability zone improve fault tolerance. If one zone has an outage, your resources in other zones can stay operational, minimizing downtime. And it spread your resources. Deploying your application across multiple zones enhances reliability. So let's see the availability zone in action. So here we can see we have multiple availability zones, and these are basically connected through redundant low latency links. So if your application, let's suppose you have an application app1 and it is deployed across multiple availability zone. So let me get back. So if one availability zone fails, your application is still available from the secondary availability zone, and thus it gives high availability and reliability. Let's move to the next question, that is question number 10. What are the responsibilities of a company that is using AWS Lambda? And we have to choose two options. Options are A. security of underlying infrastructure, B. selection of CPU resources, C. security inside of code, D. writing and updating of code, and E. patching of operating system. And the correct options are, so we have to choose two options. So the first correct option is C. security inside of code, and D. writing and updating of code. So the customer or the company is responsible for security inside the code, and of course writing and updating the code. Rest all responsibilities lies with AWS. So AWS Lambda is basically a serverless compute service offered by Amazon Web Services. In simple terms, it lets you run code without having to manage servers yourself. Here's the key idea: event driven. So your code called a Lambda function execute in response to events like uploads to S3 or API gateway requests. Focus on code, not servers. You write the code and upload it. AWS Lambda takes care of provisioning and managing the servers needed to run it. Pay per use. You only pay for the resources your code consumes while running. Question number 11 is that a company plans to use an Amazon Snowball Edge device to transfer files to the AWS cloud. Which activities related to a Snowball Edge device are available to the company at no cost? And the options are A. Daily use of the Snowball Edge appliance for 10 days. B. Use of the Snowball Edge appliance for a 10-day period. C. The transfer of data from the Snowball Edge appliance into Amazon S3. And D. The transfer of data out of Amazon S3 and to the Snowball Edge appliance. And the correct option is option C, the transfer of data from the Snowball Edge appliance into Amazon S3. So what is the Amazon Snowball Edge device? So it is basically a device that combines data storage and computing power. It's essentially a ruggedized mini computer that you can use to transfer large amounts of data to and from the AWS cloud securely, process data locally even without an internet connection, and run various applications at the edge closer to where the data is generated. Let me show a visual diagram of the Snowball Edge device. So here you can see that this is your on-premises storage. This is, let's suppose, your staging workstation, and this is Snowball Edge device, and these all are connected through a fast local area network LAN, and these are all on your on premises. And using this device you can, let's suppose this is AWS, this is internet connection. So using the Snowball Edge device you can upload and download your local data to the AWS cloud securely and fastly. Let's get to the next question. Question number 12 is that a company wants to run a NoSQL database on Amazon EC2 instances. Which task is the responsibility of AWS in this scenario? The options are A. Maintain high availability at the database layer. B. Patch the physical infrastructure that hosts the EC2 instances. C. Update the guest operating system of the EC2 instances. And D. Configure the security group firewall. And the correct option is, so the correct option of question number 12 is that patch the physical infrastructure that hosts the EC2 instances is the responsibility of the AWS. So let me display the responsibility matrix. Here we can see that these are the responsibilities of AWS, while these are customer responsibility, and patching of the physical infrastructure such as server, routers and switches is the responsibility of AWS. Similarly, the configuration of fault tolerance at infrastructure level such as availability zone, data center, clustering of physical servers and network devices and the physical security infrastructure, server, etc. is the responsibility of AWS. While the customer responsibilities include the updation of the guest operating system, maintenance of high availability at DB layer, and the application security controls such as web application firewall. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 13 is that which option is a customer responsibility when using Amazon DynamoDB under the AWS share responsibility model? And the options are A. Patching of DynamoDB, B. Physical security of DynamoDB, C. Access to DynamoDB tables, and D. Encryption of data at rest in DynamoDB. And the correct option is, so here we are talking about the customer responsibility, and the customer responsibility in this case include the access to DynamoDB tables. All the others such as patching, physical security, and encryption of data are the responsibilities of AWS. So the encryption of data at rest is also the responsibility of the customer. So these two are the responsibilities of the customer, while the patching and physical security of the DB is the AWS responsibility. Let's move to the next question. And this is just explanation of what is Amazon DynamoDB. Question number 14 is that a company is running and managing its own Docker environment on Amazon EC2 instances. The company wants an alternative to help manage cluster size, scheduling, and environment maintenance. Which AWS service meets these requirements? And the options are A. Amazon RDS, B. AWS Lambda, C. Amazon Athena, and D. AWS Fargate. And the correct option is AWS Fargate. So, for management of Docker environment on EC2 instances, the solution is AWS Fargate. It is basically a technology that you can use with Amazon ECS to run containers without having to manage servers or cluster on Amazon EC2 instances. Question number 15 is that which AWS service or tools can be used to identify right sizing opportunities for the Amazon EC2 instances? We have to choose two options, and the options are A. AWS Billing Conductor, B. AWS Cost Explorer, C. Amazon Code Guru, and D. AWS Compute Optimizer. And the correct options are, the first correct option is AWS Cost Explorer, and the second is AWS Compute Optimizer. So right sizing is the process of matching instance types and sizes to your workload performance and capacity requirements at the lowest possible cost. Question number 16 is that which of the following are the two benefits of using AWS Trusted Advisors? And the options are A. Creating and rotating encryption keys, B. Detecting underutilized resources to save costs, C. Improving security by proactively monitoring the AWS environment, and D. Implementing enforced tagging across AWS resources. And the correct option is detecting underutilized resources to save costs and improving security by proactively monitoring the AWS environment. So this is a screenshot of the Trusted Advisor dashboard, and here we can see that it can give you, or it can advise on these different parameters such as cost optimization, performance, security, and fault tolerance. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 17 is that which of the following is an advantage that users experience when they move on-premises workloads to the AWS cloud? The options are A. Price discounts that are identical to discounts from hardware providers. B. Elimination of expenses for running and maintaining data centers. C. Distribution of all operational controls to AWS. And D. Elimination of operational expenses. And the correct option is, so moving from your on-premises to the AWS cloud, or for that matter any cloud, it gives us the advantage of elimination of expenses for running and maintaining your local data centers. So running and maintaining data center is basically very costly, and moving to cloud eliminates this expense. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 18 is that a company is using a central data platform to manage multiple types of data for its customers. The company wants to use AWS services to discover, transform, and visualize the data. Which combination of two AWS services should the company use to meet these requirements? And the options are A. AWS Glue, B. Amazon Redshift, C. Amazon QuickSight, and D. Amazon Elastic File System, that is Amazon EFS. And the correct options are, let me show the correct options. So the first correct option is AWS Glue, that is Amazon Web Services Glue. And the second service, or the second correct option, is Amazon QuickSight. So using these two services, you can manage multiple types of data for your customers, and they help you discover, transform, and visualize the visualization of the data. Let's move to the next question. That is question number 19. And the question is that a global company wants to migrate its third-party application to the AWS cloud. The company wants help from a global team of experts to complete the migration faster and more reliably in accordance with AWS internal best practices. Which AWS service or resource will meet these requirements? And the options are A. AWS Support, B. AWS Launch Wizard, C. AWS Managed Services, and D. AWS Professional Services. And the correct option is, let me show the correct answer. I hope you have guessed the answer. And the answer is AWS Professional Services. So using Amazon Professional Services, you can do the migration. Professional services available in AWS Marketplace enables you to find and buy assessments, implementation, support, managed services, and training for third-party software and building on AWS. So these are the professional services on AWS Marketplace. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 20. Sorry for the delay, guys. It's taking a little bit of time. And the question is that a developer wants to deploy an application quickly on AWS without manually creating the required resources. Which AWS service will meet these requirements? And the options are A. AWS Elastic Beanstalk, B. Amazon EC2, C. AWS Code Build, and D. Amazon Personalize. And the correct option is, so we want to develop an application quickly without manually requiring the resources. So the correct option for this solution is AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So what is AWS Elastic Beanstalk? Sorry, this is basically the explanation of the snowball. I mistakenly pasted the explanation for the snowball. So what is the elastic beanstalk? Let me clarify this with the help of this image. So the beanstalk, elastic beanstalk gives us multiple benefits, including the management. It is cost effective. It has customization feature, developer productivity, auto scaling options, and it is easy to start with. Question number 21 is that a cloud user is storing sensitive customer data in an Amazon S3 bucket. The user wants to protect the data from accidental deletion and overwriting. Which S3 feature should the user use to meet these requirements? And the options are A. S3 versioning, B. S3 lifecycle rules, C. S3 bucket policies, and D. S3 server-side encryption. And the correct option is S3 versioning. So S3 versioning is used to keep multiple versions of an object in one bucket so that you can restore objects that are accidentally deleted or overwritten. So let's see that in action. So here we can see we have two S3 buckets. This one is versioning enabled. This bucket has versioning option or feature enabled, while this one hasn't this versioning feature enabled. So here we can see that it has, this is a sample photo or a picture. Here only one instance or only one version of this picture is saved, while in this bucket we have two versions or two copies. So if one got accidentally deleted, we can still recover the photo using the versioning feature, while in the S3 bucket without versioning enabled, once the photo is deleted, it's gone forever. So this is the benefit of S3 versioning, that it helps us recover photo from accidental deletion or overwriting, photo or any data. Let's go to the next question. Question number 22 is that which AWS service provides the ability to manage infrastructure as a code, that is IaaC, and the options are A. AWS code deploy, B. AWS code pipeline, C. AWS cloud formation, and D. AWS direct connect. And the correct option is AWS cloud formation. So AWS cloud formation is basically the infrastructure as a code service that AWS provides, and it is basically AWS Cloud Formation is an infrastructure as a code service that allows you to easily model, provision, and manage AWS and third-party resources. Let me display the visual. So here we can see, using this cloud formation, the developer just writes the code using the AWS CLI, and using the cloud formation templates, this code is then turned to the stacks, or the stack is updated through this cloud formation templates, and this is all done through a code written by the developer. Rest the task is completed through the cloud formation templates. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 23 is that an online streaming company needs to choose a purchasing option to run its Amazon EC2 instances for 1 year. The web traffic is consistent and any increase in the traffic are predictable. The EC2 instances must be online and available without any disruption. Which EC2 instance purchasing option will meet these most cost effectively? The options are A. Spot instances, B. On-demand instances, C. Reserved instances, and D. Spot fleet. And the correct option is, so these are the different instances types inside the AWS. So what is the most suitable for this type of customer requirements? And this is the reserved instances. So reserved instances are suitable for web traffic that is consistent and the increase in traffic are predictable. So you can reserve your instances as per the requirements. So Amazon EC2 reserved instances provide a significant discount of up to 72% compared to on-demand pricing and provide a capacity reservation when used in, let me get back, when used in a specific availability zone. Question number 24 is that which AWS service or feature allows a user to establish a dedicated network connection between a company's on-premises data center and the AWS cloud? And the options are A. Amazon Route 53, B. AWS Direct Connect, C. AWS VPN, and D. VPC peering. And the correct option is, so we are talking about direct connection between your private on-premises network and AWS cloud, and this is done through the AWS Direct Connect. So as the name indicates, AWS Direct Connect is a service that lets you establish a dedicated network connection between your on-premises data center and Amazon Web Services. This private connection bypasses the public internet, potentially reducing cost, increasing bandwidth, and providing a more consistent network experience for accessing AWS resources. So let me display the diagram. So here we can see, let's suppose this is your on-premises data center and this is AWS region or AWS availability zone. So you can connect to the AWS cloud through this direct connect. So this is not a via the public internet, because the public internet is congested and it may slow down your data processing and application performance. So this is a type of your private network connectivity to the AWS cloud using the Amazon Direct Connect. Question number 25 is that which option is a physical location of the AWS global infrastructure? And options are A. AWS region, B. AWS data sync, C. Amazon Connect, and D. AWS organization. And the correct option is, of course, AWS region. And this is a diagram of the AWS region. So this is one region. Inside region we have multiple availability zone, and inside availability zone we have physical data centers. So this region may be in specific part of a country. Let's suppose it may be South America and there may be another region in North America, and inside each region we have multiple availability zones. So the region is basically a physical geographical concept as asked in this question. Question number 26 is that a company wants to protect its AWS cloud information systems and assets while performing risk assessment and mitigation tasks. Which pillar of the AWS well architecture framework is supported by these goals? And the options are A. Security, B. Reliability, C. Operational excellence, and D. Performance efficiency. So the correct option is the security, since we are talking about protection of information system and assets. So this is security is the pillar of the AWS well architecture framework, and this AWS well architecture framework has multiple pillars, and these are operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, cost optimization, and sustainability. You can read the detail if you like. I will move forward to the next question. Question number 27 is that what is the purpose of having an internet gateway within a VPC, that is virtual private cloud? And the options are A, to allow communication between the VPC and the internet, B, to create a VPN connection to the VPC, C, to impose bandwidth constraints on internet traffic, and D, to load balanced traffic from the internet across Amazon EC2 instances. And the correct option is to allow communication between the VPC and the internet. So an AWS Internet Gateway is a virtual router that acts as a single point of access for your VPC, that is virtual private cloud, to connect to the public internet. It allows resources in your public subnet like EC2 instances with public IP addresses to send and receive traffic to and from the internet. And this is a diagram of this internet gateway in action. So this is the public internet, this is your AWS VPC, your private cloud, your private subnet, and this internet gateway basically help you to connect your private subnet, that is VPC, through the public subnet to the internet. So as the name suggests, this is internet gateway is basically your door to the internet. Question number 28 is that a company has an AWS account. The company wants to audit its password and access key rotation details for compliance purposes. Which AWS service or tool will meet this requirement? And the options are A, AWS Artifact, B, Identity and Access Management Credential Report, C, AWS Audit Manager, and D, IAM Access Analyzer. And the correct option is IAM, that is Identity and Access Management Credential Report. So IAM Credential Report can be used to view the status of all users' credentials, including password, access keys, and multi-factor authentication devices. Question number 29 is that a company wants to receive a notification when a specific AWS cost threshold is reached. Which AWS service or tools can the company use to meet this requirement? We have to choose two options, and the options are A, AWS budgets, B, Amazon Simple Queue service, that is Amazon SQS, C, Amazon CloudWatch, and D, Cost Explorer. And the correct options are AWS budgets and Amazon CloudWatch. So the AWS, why are these two options correct? This is the explanation. For AWS budget, it is a service that allows you to set custom cost and usage budgets for your AWS resources. You can configure a budget with a specific threshold and define actions when, such as sending notification when that threshold is reached. While Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring service that can be used to collect and track metrics, logs, and events from various AWS resources. It supports setting up alarms based on cost metrics, so you can create an alarm for a specific cost threshold and configure it to send notification when the threshold is breached. Question number 30 is that which tasks are customer responsibilities according to the AWS shared responsibility model? And we have to choose two options. Options are A, classify company assets in the AWS cloud, B. Configure the AWS provided security group firewall. C. Patch or upgrade Amazon DynamoDB. And D. Select Amazon EC2 instances to run AWS Lambda on. And the correct options are, so we are talking about the customer responsibility in the AWS shared responsibility model. So the customer responsibilities include classification of company assets or customer assets in the AWS cloud, and the configuration of the security group firewall provided by the AWS. So let me show you the visual representation of the shared responsibility model. So these green are the basically customer responsibility. It includes the firewall configuration as was asked in the question. Similarly, the identity and access management, data encryption on the client side, authentication, server side encryption, and network traffic protection such as VPN, etc. While the AWS Foundation services such as the compute, storage, data, network, their protection, their configuration, installation, as well as the availability maintenance of the Amazon global infrastructure, which includes regions, availability zone, edge location, and data centers. These fall under the AWS responsibility. Question number 31 is that which AWS service or feature is used to send both text and email messages from distributed applications? And the options are A. Amazon Simple Email Service, that is Amazon SES. B. Amazon Simple Notification Service, Amazon SNS. C. Amazon CloudWatch Alerts. And D. Amazon Simple Queue Service, that is Amazon SQS. And the correct option is Amazon Simple Notification Service, that is Amazon SNS, is used to send and receive text and email messages from distributed application. So Amazon SNS is a managed messaging service offered by AWS. You can use Amazon SNS to send messages from application to application or from application to person. You can use Amazon SNS in different modes, that is publisher to subscribers, SMS, email, or mobile notification. And this is the diagrammatic representation of this Amazon SNS service. So here is the publisher, and it uses the Amazon SNS service to publish the notification to the different Amazon services such as Amazon Lambda or email messages that are subscribers. Question number 32 is that a user needs programmatic access to AWS resources through the AWS CLI or the AWS API. Which option will provide the user with the appropriate access? And the options are A. Access keys, B. Amazon Inspector, C. SSH public keys, and D. AWS Key Management Service, that is AWS KMS keys. And the correct option is the access keys. So access keys are basically used to sign programmatic requests to the AWS CLI or AWS API. Question number 33 is that what does the concept of agility means in AWS cloud computing? And we have to choose two options, and the options are A. The ability to experiment quickly, B. The speed at which AWS resources are implemented, C. The speed at which AWS creates new AWS regions, and D. The elimination of wasted capacity. And the correct options are the ability to experiment quickly and the speed at which AWS resources are implemented. So the agility refers to the ability to respond quickly to changing business requirements and to innovate rapidly. Two aspects of agility in AWS cloud computing are Number one, agility involves the rapid provisioning and deployment of AWS resources to meet the dynamic needs of applications and workloads. And number two, agility allows users to experiment and iterate quickly, enabling them to test ideas, features, and configuration with minimal barriers. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 34 is that a customer needs to block SQL injection attacks against his or her application. Which AWS service or feature can meet this requirement? And the options are A. AWS Shield, B. AWS WAF, that is Web Application Firewall, C. AWS Security Groups, and D. Network ACLs, Access Control Lists. And the correct option is for protection against the SQL injection attacks, you need AWS WAF, that is Web Application Firewall. So, Web Application Firewall is basically available or configured in front of the application load balancer. So, all traffic to the customer application goes through this Web Application Firewall, and any web application attacks such as SQL injection attacks are blocked by this Web Application Firewall. Question number 35 is that a cloud practitioner needs to obtain AWS compliance reports before migrating an environment to the AWS cloud. How can these reports be generated? And the options are A. Open a case with AWS support, B. Contact the AWS compliance team, C. Download the reports from AWS Artifact, and D. Generate the reports with Amazon Messi. And the correct option is download the reports from AWS Artifact. AWS Artifact is a portal that provides access to various compliance reports, including certifications, attestations, and other relevant documents. You can download these reports directly from AWS Artifact, and this is basically AWS Artifact, and you can download reports, accept agreements, review, etc. from this AWS Artifact. Question number 36 is that an online gaming company has migrated its IT infrastructure from an on-premises data center to the AWS cloud. Which cost is the company's direct responsibility? And the options are A. Cost of the hardware infrastructure on AWS, B. Cost of application software licenses, C. Cost of power for the AWS servers, and D. Cost of physical security for the AWS data center. So this question is pretty straightforward. So the cost of application software licenses is basically the customer or the company responsibility, while the cost of hardware, cost of power for servers and data center, and the physical security of data center is the responsibility of AWS. Question number 37 is that elasticity in AWS cloud refers to which of the following, and we have to choose two options, and the options are the ability to right size resources as demand shifts. Option B, how quickly an Amazon EC2 instance can be restarted. C, the pay as you go billing model, and D, how easily resources can be procured when they are needed. And the correct options are the ability to right size resources as demand shifts, and how easily resources can be procured when they are needed. These two are the features are the benefits of the elasticity in AWS cloud. So as we already stated that elasticity basically refers to the increase or decrease in resources as per the user or traffic demand. So when the traffic is low, less resources are provisioned, and when the demand increases, so are the resources. Question number 38 is that which service enables customer to audit API calls in their AWS accounts? And the options are A. AWS Trusted Advisor, B. AWS CloudTrail, C. Amazon Inspector, and D. AWS X-Ray. And the correct option is AWS CloudTrail. So AWS CloudTrail, basically all the API calls goes through the AWS CloudTrail, and these calls are then logged and stored in the Amazon S3, and from there you can use these logs to generate alerts or for analysis purpose, or you can also use them in other tools such as open source or share these logs with the partner. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 39 is that what is a customer responsibility when using AWS Lambda according to the AWS shared responsibility model? And the options are A. Patching the operating system, B. Confirming that the hardware is working in the data center, C. Managing the code within the Lambda function, and D. Shutting down Lambda functions when they are no longer in use. And the correct option is managing the code within the Lambda function. Question number 40 is that an e-commerce company has 3 terabytes of data stored in Amazon S3. The company plans to occasionally run queries on the data for analysis. Which AWS service should the company use to run these queries in the most cost-effective manner? And the options are A. Amazon Athena, B. Amazon Kinesis, C. Amazon Redshift, and D. Amazon RDS. And the correct option is Amazon Athena. So Amazon Athena is a serverless interactive analytics service that provides a simplified and flexible way to analyze petabytes of data where it lives. Question number 41 is that which AWS service can be used at no additional cost? And the options are A. AWS Config, B. AWS Organizations, C. Amazon SageMaker, and D. Amazon CloudWatch. So the service that you can use without any additional cost is AWS Organizations. And what is AWS Organization? It is an account management service that enables you to consolidate multiple AWS accounts into an organization that you create and centrally manage. Features of the AWS organizations are centralized management, consolidated billing for all member accounts, hierarchical grouping of your accounts, and centralized policies implementation. Let me display the visual. So this is basically the AWS organization. Here we can see this is your root account. Inside root you have other hierarchies. This is organizational unit. This is your core. Inside core you have security and infrastructure units, and inside these two units you have then individual accounts. So this all can be used in AWS organization without any additional cost. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number 42 is that an e-commerce company wants to make an upfront commitment for continued use of its production Amazon EC2 instances in exchange for a reduced overall cost. Which pricing options meet these requirements with the lowest cost? And we have to choose two options, and the options are A. On-demand instances, B. Saving plans, C. Reserved instances, and D. Spot instances. And the correct options are so the first correct option is let me display. It is the saving plans and reserved instances. Let's move forward to the next question. Question number, and this is the explanation of both these options. You can pause the video and read the explanation if you like. So question number 43 is that a company wants to migrate its on-premises relational database to the AWS cloud. The company wants to use infrastructure as close to its current geographical location as possible. Which AWS service or resource should the company use to select its Amazon RDS deployment area? RDS means Relational Database Service. The options are AWS Direct Connect, B. AWS Wavelan, C. Amazon Connect, and D. AWS Regions. And the correct option is AWS Regions. So you can deploy your database in AWS Regions by selecting the region that is closest to you. So to select the deployment area or geographical location for Amazon Relational Database System, the company should use AWS regions. AWS regions are physical locations around the world where AWS clusters data centers. Each AWS region is entirely independent and isolated from other AWS regions to achieve the greatest possible fault tolerance and stability. So let me visually show. These are, so the blue dots are basically existing AWS regions as shown on the world map, and the red dot or red circle are basically future planned regions by the AWS. So let's suppose if this is your country, here is your country, then you can select this region because this is closest to you, as opposed to selecting this region which is far away. Question number 44 is that a company is exploring the use of the AWS cloud and needs to create a cost estimate for a project before the infrastructure is provisioned. Which AWS service or feature can be used to estimate cost before deployment? And the options are A. AWS pricing calculator, B. AWS free tier, C. AWS cost and usage report, and D. AWS billing and cost management. And the correct option is AWS pricing calculator. So this pricing calculator, it basically gives you the upfront cost of all the resources that you are going to use or you are going to purchase, and thus it gives you an estimate of your expenditure monthly as well as yearly. Question number 45 is that a company is building an application that needs to deliver images and videos globally with minimal latency. Which approach can the company use to accomplish this in a cost-effective manner? And the options are deliver content through AWS Private Link. Option B, deliver the content through the Amazon CloudFront. Option C, store the content Amazon S3 and enable S3 cross-region replication. And option D, implement a VPN across multiple AWS regions. And the correct option is deliver the content through Amazon CloudFront. So this will give us minimal latency and optimal performance for our video and images used by the user. So Amazon CloudFront is a content delivery network that is CDN service that helps you distribute your static and dynamic content quickly and reliably with high speed. And so this is, let's suppose, end user traffic, and these CloudFront are basically nearest to the user by storing your content inside this CloudFront edge location. The user feel or experience seamless experience without any degradation. Question number 46 is that which of the following is a software development framework that a company can use to define cloud resources as a code and provision the resources through AWS Cloud Formation? And the options are A. AWS Developer Center, B. AWS Cloud Development Kit, that is AWS CDK, C. AWS CLI, and D. AWS Code Star. And the correct option is option B. AWS Cloud Development Kit. So the AWS Cloud Development Kit is an open source framework that lets you define and provision cloud infrastructure user familiar programming languages like Python, Java, or TypeScript. It essentially allows you to write infrastructure as a code in a more user-friendly way compared to traditional methods. Think of it as Legos for building your AWS infrastructure with code. And this is basically the visual representation of the AWS Cloud Development Kit. Question number 47 is that a company is developing an application that uses multiple AWS services. The application needs to use temporary limited privilege credential for authentication with other AWS APIs. Which AWS service or feature should the company use to meet these authentication requirements? So the authentication requirements are temporary and limited privilege credential. And the options are A. Identity and access management users, B. AWS security token service, that is AWS STS, C. Amazon API gateway, and D. identity and access management instance profiles. And the correct option is the AWS security token service, that is AWS STS. So this AWS STS basically lets you create temporary and limited credential accounts that you can then use inside your services that required to make connection or talk to other AWS APIs. Question number 48 is that which AWS service is a cloud security posture management service that aggregates alerts from various AWS services and partner products in a standardized format? And the options are A. AWS Security Hub, B. Amazon Guard Duty, C. Amazon Event Bridge, and D. AWS Trusted Advisor. And the correct option is AWS Security Hub. So this is basically the AWS Security Hub, and it, as the question indicates, it aggregates alert from various AWS services and partner products. So here we can see that we have various AWS services, and the alerts from all these are aggregated inside the Security Hub. Let's move forward to the next question. Which AWS service is always provided at no charge? And again, options are A. Elastic Load Balancers, B. AWS Web Application Firewall, C. AWS Identity and Access Management, and D. Amazon S3. And the correct option is AWS Identity and Access Management. So AWS Identity and Access Management is provided without any charge. It is a web service that helps you securely control access to AWS resources. With IAM, you can centrally manage permissions that control which AWS resources users can access. So let's move forward to the next question. An e-commerce company is planning to migrate a NoSQL database to AWS to reduce cost. Which AWS service is fully managed and can automatically scale throughput capacity to meet database workload demands? And the options are A. Amazon Aurora, B. Amazon DynamoDB, C. Amazon Redshift, and D. Amazon RDS. And the correct option is, we are talking about shifting or migrating a NoSQL database to AWS to minimize cost, and the correct option is Amazon DynamoDB. So Amazon DynamoDB is basically NoSQL database inside the AWS, where we can deploy or host our own NoSQL database. So Amazon DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service that provides fast and predictable performance with seamless scalability. So let's move forward to the next question. Question number 51 is that an AWS customer is using Amazon DynamoDB. Which task is the customer's responsibility according to the AWS shared responsibility model? And the options are A. Provision hosts, B. Manage database access permissions, C. Patch the operating system, and D. Secure the operating system. And the correct option is, so the customer's responsibility when using the Amazon DynamoDB is, I think I am sure about the option B, that is managing the database access permissions, while all others are taken care by the AWS. So let me again display the AWS shared responsibility model. So again, this is the shared responsibility model. So security of the cloud is basically AWS responsibility, while security in the cloud falls under the customer responsibility. Question number 52 is that a company has a test AWS environment. A company is planning on testing an application within AWS. The application testing can be interrupted and does not need to run continuously. Which Amazon EC2 purchasing option will meet these requirements most cost effectively? And the options are A. Dedicated instances, B. On-demand instances, C. Reserved instances, and D. Spot instances. And the correct option is spot instances. So Amazon EC2 spot instances let you take advantage of unused EC2 capacity in the AWS cloud and are available at up to 90% discount compared to on-demand prices. Question number 53 is that which AWS service gives user the ability to discover and protect sensitive data that is stored in Amazon S3 bucket? And the options are A. Amazon Detective, B. Amazon Massey, C. Amazon Guard Duty, and D. AWS IAM Access Analyzer. And the correct option is, so the Amazon Massey can be used to discover and protect sensitive data inside your Amazon S3 buckets. So Amazon Massey is a data security service that uses machine learning and pattern matching to discover and help protect your sensitive data. And this is how it is done as shown in this visual. You can read the detail by pausing the video. I will move forward to the next question. Which of the following service can be used to block network traffic to an instance? We have to choose two options, and the options are A. Network ACL, that is access control list, B. Security groups, C. Amazon CloudWatch, and D. AWS CloudTrail. And the correct options are, we have to choose two options. So the first answer is network access control list, that is network ACLs, and the second correct option is the security groups. So using these two services or option, we can block or allow traffic to an AWS instance. So security groups are stateful firewall that control inbound and outbound traffic at the instance level. You can configure security groups to allow or deny specific types of network traffic to and from your instance. Network ACLs, that is access control list, are stateless firewall that control traffic at the subnet level. Network ACLs define rules to allow or deny traffic based on source and destination IP addresses, ports, and protocols. Let's move forward to the next question. That is question number 55. And the question is that which AWS service can identify when Amazon EC2 instance was terminated? And the options are AWS CloudTrail, B. AWS Identity and Access Management, C. Amazon Event Bridge, and D. AWS Compute Optimizer. And the correct option is, so we are talking about identifying the termination time of the Amazon EC2 instance, and this can be determined inside logs, and this is taken care by the Amazon service AWS CloudTrail. So what is AWS CloudTrail? CloudTrail enables auditing, security monitoring, and operational troubleshooting by tracking users' activity and API usage. CloudTrail logs, continuously monitors, and retains account activity related to actions across your AWS infrastructure. And this is the visual representation of the CloudTrail. So it records user activity and API usage in AWS services. These logs are then stored. They are used to monitor and analyze different activities, and they can be used for troubleshooting, auditing, and monitoring. Question number 56 is that which of the following is a fully managed MySQL compatible database? And the options are A. Amazon DynamoDB, B. Amazon S3, C. Amazon Redshift, and D. Amazon Aurora. And the correct option is, so DynamoDB is NoSQL database, S3 is basically storage, and the correct option is Amazon Aurora, which is fully managed MySQL compatible database. And this is just the deployment options and replication features of this Aurora DB cluster. So you can store different instances as copies of the Amazon Aurora inside different availability zones. Question number 57 is that which AWS service supports a hybrid architecture that gives users the ability to extend AWS infrastructure, AWS services, APIs, and tools to data centers, co-location environments, or on-premises facilities? And the options are AWS Forget, B. AWS Outposts, C. AWS Local Zones, and D. AWS Snowmobile. And the correct option is AWS Outposts. So this is a visual representation of AWS Outposts. It is basically just like a rack with all the servers and machines installed, and it basically extends the AWS infrastructure inside your on-premises facilities. It's like a mini AWS data center inside your own data center. Question number 58 is that which AWS service can run a managed PostgreSQL database that provides online transaction processing, that is OLTP? And the options are A. Amazon Athena, B. Amazon DynamoDB, C. Amazon EMR, and D. Amazon RDS. And the correct option is Amazon RDS. Question number 59 is that a company wants to provide managed Windows virtual desktops and applications to its remote employees over secure network connections. Which AWS service can the company use to meet these requirements? And we have to choose all the correct options. And the correct options are, so we need to connect the or provide virtual Windows virtual desktop and application to remote employees or secure connections. So this can be done through AWS site to site VPN and through the second correct option is Amazon Workspaces and Amazon AppStream 2.0, and this is the explanation of all these options. Question number 60 is that a company wants to monitor for misconfigured security groups that are allowing unrestricted access to specific ports. Which AWS service will meet this requirement? And the options are A. AWS Trusted Advisor, B. Amazon Guard Duty, C. AWS Health Dashboard, and D. Amazon CloudWatch. And the correct option is, we are talking about the configured security groups and unrestricted access. So this vulnerability or security misconfiguration can be detected and monitored using AWS Trusted Advisor. So let me again show the screenshot of the AWS Trusted Advisor. So as we saw, it can give us recommendation about our security errors or warning about the misconfiguration of our security configuration, as well as about performance, cost optimization, and fault tolerance.